Samsy. We got story time with kitties. And today, a brand new story, an H.G. Wells short story, The Cone. Let's get into it. The night was hot and overcast. The sky red-rimmed with the lingering sunset of midsummer. They sat at the open window, trying to fancy the air was fresher there. The trees and shrubs of the garden stood stiff and dark. Beyond, in the roadway, a gas lamp burnt, bright orange against the hazy blue of the evening. Further were the three lights of the railway signal against the lowering sky. The man and woman spoke to one another in low tones. "He's not suspect," said the man a little nervously. "Not he?" she said peevishly. Peevishly. Say it one more time. Peevishly. As though that too irritated her. He thinks of nothing but the works and the prices of fuel. He has no imagination, no poetry. "None of these men of iron have," he said sententiously. "They have no hearts. He has not," she said. She turned her discontented face towards the window. The distant sound of a roaring and rushing drew nearer and grew in volume. The house quivered. One heard the metallic rattle of the tender as the train passed. There was a glare of light above the cutting and a driving tumult of smoke. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 black oblongs. 8 trucks passed along the dim gray of the embankment and were suddenly extinguished one by one in the throat of the tunnel, which, with the last, seemed to swallow down the train, smoke, and sound in one abrupt gulp. "This country was all fresh and beautiful once," he said, "and now it is Gehenna. Down that way, nothing but pot banks and chimneys belching fire and dust into the face of heaven. But what does it matter? And end comes. An end to all this cruelty tomorrow." He spoke the last word in a whisper. "Tomorrow," she said, speaking in a whisper too, and still staring out the window. "Dear," he said, putting his hand on hers. She turned with a start, and their eyes searched one another's. Hers softened to his gaze. "My dear one," she said, and then, "It seems so strange that you should have come into my life like this. To open," she paused. "To open," he said. "All this wonderful world," she hesitated, and spoke still more softly. "This world of love to me." Then, suddenly, the door clicked and closed. They turned their heads, and he started violently back. In the shadow of the room stood a great, shadowy figure, silent. They saw the face dimly in the half-light, with unexpressive dark patches under the pent house brows. Every muscle in Rout's body became tense. When could the door have opened? What had he heard? Had he heard all? What had he seen? A tumult of questions. The newcomer's voice came at last, after a pause that seemed interminable. "Well," he said, "I was afraid I had missed you, Horrocks," said the man at the window, gripping the window ledge with his hand. His voice was unsteady. The clumsy figure of Horrocks came forward, out of the shadow. He made no answer to Rout's remark. For a moment he stood above them. The woman's heart was cold within her. "I told Mr. Rout it was possible you might come back," she said in a voice that never quivered. Horrocks, still silent, sat down abruptly in the chair by her little work table. His big hands were clenched. One saw now the fire of his eyes under the shadows of his brows. He was trying to get his breath. His eyes went from the woman he had trusted to the friend he had trusted, and then back to the woman. By this time, and for the moment, all three half understood one another, yet none dared say a word to ease the pent-up things that choked them. It was the husband's voice that broke the silence at last. "You wanted to see me?" he said to Rout. Rout stared. Rout started as he spoke. "I came to see you," he said, resolved to lie to the last. "Yes," said Horrocks. "You promised," said Rout, "to show me some fine effects of moonlight and smoke." "I promised to show you some fine effects of moonlight and smoke," repeated Horrocks in a colorless voice. "And I thought I might catch you tonight before you went down to the works," proceeded Rout, "and come with you." There was another pause. Did the man mean to take the thing coolly? Did he, after all, know how long he had been in the room? Yet, even at the moment when they heard the door, their attitudes. Horrocks glanced at the profile of the woman, shadowy, pallid in the half-light. Then he glanced at Rout and seemed to recover himself suddenly. "Of course," he said, "I promised to show you the works under their proper dramatic conditions. It's odd how I could have forgotten." "If I am troubling you," began Rout. Horrocks started again. A new light had suddenly come into the sultry gloom of his eyes. "Not in the least," he said. "Have you been telling Mr. Rout of all these contrasts of flame and shadow you think so splendid?" said the woman, turning now to her husband for the first time, her confidence creeping back again, her voice just one half note too high. That dreadful theory of yours, that machinery is beautiful and everything else in the world ugly? I thought he would not spare you, Mr. Rout. It's his great theory, his one discovery in art." "I am slow to make discoveries," said Horrocks, grimly damping her suddenly. "But what I discover—" He stopped. "Well?" she said. "Nothing." And suddenly he rose to his feet. "I promise to show you the works," he said to Rout, and put his big, clumsy hand on his friend's shoulder. You are ready to go?" "Quite," said Rout, and stood up also. There was another pause. Each of them peered through the indistinctness of the dusk at the other two. Horrocks' hands still rested on Rout's shoulder. Rout half fancied still that the incident was trivial after all. But Mrs. Horrocks knew her husband better, knew the grim quiet in his voice, and the confusion in her mind took a vague shape of physical evil. "Very well," said Horrocks, and, dropping his hand, turned towards the door. "My hat?" Rout looked round in the half-light. "That's my work-basket," said Mrs. Horrocks, with a gust of hysterical laughter. Their hands came together on the backside of the chair. "Here it is," he said. She had an impulse to warn him in an undertone, but she could not frame a word. "Don't go, and beware of him," struggled in her mind, and the swift moment passed. Oh boy, let's take a look. We got, there's Storm Cloud. Storm Cloud learning how to eat out of a bowl, so there we go. And a little smiley face ball friend. "Got it," said Horrocks, standing with the door half open. Rout stepped towards him. "Better say goodbye to Mrs. Horrocks," said the Iron Master, even more grimly quiet in his tone than before. Rout started and turned. "Good evening, Mrs. Horrocks," he said, and their hands touched. Horrocks held the door open with a ceremonial politeness unusual in him towards men. Rout went out, and then, after a wordless look at her, her husband followed. She stood motionless while Rout's light footfall and her husband's heavy tread, like bass and treble, passed down the passage together. The front door slammed heavily. She went to the window, moving slowly, and stood watching, leaning forward. The two men appeared for a moment at the gateway in the road, passed under the street lamp, and were hidden by the black masses of the shrubbery. The lamplight fell for a moment on their faces, showing only unmeaning pale patches, telling nothing of what she still feared, and doubted, and craved vainly to know. Then she sank down in a crouching attitude in the big armchair, her eyes wide open and staring out at the red lights from the furnaces that flickered in the sky. An hour after she was still there, her attitude scarcely changed. All right, let's wrap it up for today, guys. We'll catch you again later. Thanks for coming along. See.